offer presented to him by the Spurs chairman, Daniel Levy, and that Bayern's bosses are aware that he's rejected Tottenham. Now, I'm trying to read between the lines, and I would imagine that Florian has got this information from Bayern Munich. He is saying that Tel has rejected Spurs, but he is open to a loan move to, and he's putting it in this order, Manchester United, Aston Villa and Chelsea.
Wow.
But not Spurs. Paul Mercer.
No, he can't go Spurs now then.
Your reaction?
Yeah, he can't go Spurs now. The fans won't be happy with that. As soon as they hear that and them three don't come in and he ends up at Tottenham, the fans won't be happy with that.
Daniel Levy was heavily involved in this. They really wanted him. Are you surprised he didn't get it over the line?
Yeah, I am surprised, but then the way Tottenham are playing at the moment, I'm not surprised. But he's a good young player, and everyone knows I've got a lot of love for Tottenham, so it's a bit disappointing when you hear a young player like that can't come in. Will he be a regular? I understand Solanke's injured at the moment, and he might get that opportunity, but they're the type of players Tottenham should be signing. But I know Man United's inferior, bigger club than Tottenham. I totally get that, but the way Man United are playing at the moment, the way Tottenham are playing, I think I'd rather go to Tottenham at the moment if I was him, but that's probably with my Tottenham head on.
What was the order of the clubs again that Florian said?
Manchester United, Aston Villa, Chelsea.
Just on Manchester United, United are actually interested in Mathys Tel, but this is very tentative at this stage. They have made inquiries, but they've been described to me as tentative. That's because United would have to do business out of the club if they were to try and bring someone like Mathys Tel in. It would be different if it was a loan, then maybe they could juggle the wages around if someone was to leave, and then they could get Mathys Tel in that way. But Marcus Rashford and Alejandro Garnacho, they're the two we've been talking about throughout this transfer window. And I know you could say, oh, they could release a player and another position in that squad, but it would also be to do with the squad space and the salary as well. So if they were to lose a forward, they'd then want to recruit one as well. So if they're interested in Tel, they'd probably have to release one of these two.
Paul, is this embarrassing for Spurs that a player doesn't want to go there?
No, I wouldn't say that. No, I wouldn't say that. I mean, he's coming from Bayern Munich, so he's not coming from a lesser team. No disrespect to Tottenham, but he's coming from a huge team. He's a young lad. He's got to get it right. He's got to get the right move. At the moment, Tottenham are 15th. I think if they were in the top four, I think he would come. So, no, I wouldn't say this is embarrassing for Tottenham. I mean, as I say, he's at Bayern Munich at the moment. So, yeah, this is... But the embarrassing thing is they must have had a rough idea they could get him. You know, when these deals happen, there's a lot of talking beforehand. You know, the player, you know, they'd have asked the player or their agent. A lot's done behind the scenes before they go and make an offer. So they'll be quite shocked with that, in my opinion.
Are Spurs going to be scrambling around until 11 o'clock on Monday?
Yeah, of course. We'll be in the studio until 11 doing the transfer. I'll be in there and we'll just be waiting and seeing across the screen some breaking news. I'll be asking these two men what's going on with Tottenham. Tottenham need to do business. They've got so many injuries at the moment. It's a struggle. Ange's under big pressure. They need to start winning football matches. I know they're still in the cup, and that's probably why he's still in all the cups, because that's why he's still in his job, because the run they've been on has been terrible, and they need to do business. You can't have your main centre-forward Solanke out for 6 weeks. Richarlison's just coming back from injury. He picks up injuries. They need a player who can play in all those three positions across that front line, so they'll be looking to do business.
I've got a player for you, Marcus Rashford. Let's talk about him. What's going on with him, Darmish?
He's still a Manchester United player. He's still a Manchester United player. I've been saying this throughout this window. If you're doing an interview 2 weeks before the window opens saying you want a new challenge, chances are you've got something set up. That's why I was expecting early on in that transfer window there to be a deal ready to go for Marcus Rashford. We're on January the 31st. He's still training with United. He's nowhere near the squad. He's been criticised publicly by his manager. But just of late, I think there's been a little bit of a rowback on that, because Ruben Amorim has actually said we're a better team if Marcus Rashford plays, but he needs to give the maximum in training. That kind of message to Marcus Rashford can't be great. He must be thinking, this guy doesn't fancy me. I need to get a move out. But it's easier said than done because he's on big wages. And the place he wants to go to, Barcelona, they won't be able to do a deal whereby United will be satisfied with the amount of wages that they pay, because they need to create salary space. AC Milan went for him, but that came and went. They went for Kyle Walker instead to fill in their non-EU player. Borussia Dortmund is one that, and Barcelona to a certain extent, that will need watching in the last few days, simply because Dortmund did a deal with United last January with Jadon Sancho. United actually ended up making a profit on Jadon Sancho's wages because they incentivised the deal whereby, however well Sancho played and Dortmund did, the percentage that United paid in the wages came down. Could they do that again with Marcus Rashford? And as Carve mentioned in the last hour, Aston Villa now are looking at Marcus Rashford.
Every club knows, the clubs who want Marcus Rashford, that the best deal you're going to get is going to be on deadline day if you're going to take a player on loan. We saw it with Raheem Sterling moving from Chelsea to Arsenal. We saw it with Jadon Sancho. These deals happen on deadline day because the selling club is almost forced to accept whatever's being offered. Whereas at the moment, Manchester United could be saying to interested clubs, you've got to pay 70, 80, 90, 100% of his wages and a loan fee if you want him. Whereas on deadline day, they will lower their demands. Otherwise, they'll be left with a player who their head coach has said, I'd rather have my 63-year-old goalkeeping coach on the bench than him.
Yeah, but if they go... With Rashford, they will wait to the end, to the 31st, because with his wages, even if they said they'll pay 250 grand a week, that's £1 million if you've signed him at the end of the month. They've saved £1 million. That's a lot of money in this day and age. Do you know what I mean? You sign him at the start of the January window, you know, it's going to cost £1 million in wages. So if you can drag it out, plus Man United will get panicky because they won't want to be stuck with 350 grand a week for the next 7-8 months, because that's what it will be in the end till it comes to the start of next season.
Do you think it's sensible for him to be holding out for Barcelona? Because when you look at Barcelona's players, their front three, if he's not playing at United, would he be playing at Barcelona?
I think I've got more money than Barcelona, haven't I? I mean, they ain't got no money.
Exactly.
They've got no money. I mean,
You've got a lot of it, though.
no, that's what I'm trying to tell you. That's what I'm telling you. So, yeah, I don't get that one.
Right, we've got a Rashford question from the audience. Before we get there, have you got the news,
I will
Darmesh?
let Carve do this.
Go on, Carve.
He's been covering this one.
Duran done.
Well done, Carve.
John Duran done.
Just say what you see.
So John Duran is moved to
Al Nassr.
Al Nassr from Aston Villa. Is done. Confirmed in 2 words. I don't even know who that message is from.
That's from our producer in
Duran done.
Osterley.
4 exclamation marks.
That was.
I mean, I know this.
That was so
this
slick.
I know this
Well
is
done.
really controversial. A lot of people in football think, "What are you doing? Why are you going to Saudi Arabia? You've got the world at your feet. You're only 21 years old. You're playing for a big club like Aston Villa. You're throwing your career away by moving to Saudi Arabia. Surely you're only going there for the money." But I think John Duran has had a look at it and he's decided,
Hang on,
I'd rather be living in Riyadh than
I've
Birmingham.
got some more information
Real
now.
quick, so I wanna get to
Aston
this
Villa
question.
can confirm that John Duran has joined Al Nassr for an undisclosed fee, which we believe to be over £64 million. That's €77 million plus bonuses. $1 million for 21-year-old. Everyone at Aston Villa would like to wish John all the best in the next step of his professional career. His medical was completed yesterday. This deal is seen as an example of a new strategy, as Carve Solokol has been talking about throughout this transfer window in developing the Saudi Pro League. So Aston Villa have now confirmed it that John Duran has joined Al Nassr. The deal is worth £64 million.
Which means Aston Villa have made a profit of £50 million on him in 2 years.
Right, OK. Now we're going to get to the viewer question. It's Cameron. We're talking Rashford. What have you got?
Evening, guys. If Rashford does decide to go, where do you think's best for him to go so he can get back to his best?
Paul.
I think definitely abroad. I think he needs a new change. I think the problem is, and here I have to understand this, wherever he goes, he'll have to take his head with him. People think, oh, I'll go over and I'll play in Italy or I'll play in Spain, I'll go Barcelona. You know, it'd be a different club, but he's still got to take his head with him. And at the moment, that's the problem. You know, he's not running around. I mean, when your manager's turning around saying you're not running around, there's nothing worse than that. I mean, that's the worst. So that's what he's got to understand. For me, I'm not a Man United fan, but I still think they're one of the biggest clubs in the world. Wherever he goes, he'll be downgraded.
Guys, what I mentioned before, that 2 weeks before the start of the window, he's done this interview. Do you think he may have overestimated the market that was in for him when he did that interview?
I don't think he understands how much wages he's on.
Exactly.
I think he thinks that's the norm. I think 350 grand is well, that's what you hear. I don't know if that's true. But if it's 300, I mean, that's a lot of money. You know, in this day and age, I think 4 or 5 years ago, I think, You know, you've sat at transfer deadline day and people just go bang, well, look, crash. But now you've got to watch your pennies now, and I just don't see what's going to happen.
I think his wages are a bit lower than that because United are not in the Champions League.
Grand?
I think when they're in the Champions League,
Higher.
I wonder why he wants to leave. He must be
I think they're
gutted.
over 300.
So what do you think, Clinton?
Well, with
Where
Marcus,
should he go?
Where should he go? Yeah, he should go abroad. Listen, if he stays in the Premier League, I like Marcus Rashford. I always have liked him as a footballer. I don't know. When I'm playing, and Mercy's right, Man United, for me, are the biggest football club in the world. When I was playing, you'd walk up the motorway to go to play for Man United. So I don't understand a player of that ability, when you're at a club like that, you don't run through brick walls. I look at Marcus Rashford, I don't know him personally, but he's got the best job in the world. You ask anybody in there, they'd love to be a professional footballer. Play with a smile on your face and go and enjoy yourself. I want to see the Marcus Rashford that was taking people on, scoring goals when he burst onto the scene. So I think a different challenge. I'm not saying his Man United career is over. I just think he needs a few months, maybe go abroad, get your confidence back, then come back to Man United. Can be a different player. But it's hard to come back when your manager says he'd rather put a 61-year-old goalkeeper coach.
63.
Whatever. Wow, I was trying to make it a bit cheaper.
Yeah,
63, because if my manager said that about me, my head would be rolling off, so I wouldn't like that.
What does Amrin, how many does he have to get in to get United challenging for, say, top 4?
Wow. 11.
I wouldn't say 11, but you'd think
What?
6 or 7. You'd think 6 or 7. I mean, he's, you know, Man United are going to be dipping into what the lad that they're trying to buy from Leche. That's what they're going to be dipping into, which is a heads or tails. Is it going to work? Is it not? You know, 30, 40 million, 25 million pound players. That's what they're going. And some will be good and they'll get lucky, and some will be well out their depth at Man United and they will flop. But that's the market they're in my opinion.
The thing is, they have to hit the bullseye now. They can't afford any more mistakes.
But they haven't
now.
got the money to hit the bullseye. It's hard to hit the bullseye, isn't it? You know, when you're paying £100 million, you've virtually got a proven footballer. You know, but at the moment, when they're buying people, you know, from Leche, and no disrespect to the lad, I haven't seen him play, but he plays at Leche at the moment. You're playing for Leche, now you're going to go and play for Man United.
And a couple of years ago, Leche signed him for €200,000, which is what, about £160,000. And now, a couple of years later, they're going to sell him for 25 million.
This is the problem you have. The problem we have, though, it's like Guka is from Coventry. He was under everybody's nose.
Yeah.
But then he has to go to Sporting Lisbon. It's not the strongest league in the world, Portuguese league, by far. Scores a lorry load of goals. Now he's the most wanted player in the world. He hasn't got any better. But he was just at Coventry, and people go, I'm not buying him, he's at Coventry. You know, Man United couldn't go and buy a Coventry player. The fans would go mad. They'd go, what are we doing? What are we in the market for a Coventry player?
I don't know whether
for?
you agree as well. You're saying 6 or 7 players. You know, like if a current Liverpool, Man City or Arsenal, for example, if they're going into the market and buying 3 players, they're improving their squad. It's almost like United need 6 or 7 players that are going to go straight into the team, let alone in the squad, right?
That's what they need. Yeah, they do. And it's going to be hard, and they have to improve the squad. Man United, you look at it now, and it's a struggle. It's going to be a struggle, but they're going to have to suffer. The fans are going to have to suffer for a few years yet until they get back to their best times. And players like that, as you say, the boy from Leche, is he going to improve them on the left-hand side? They need to strengthen there. Dalot plays there. He's not comfortable in playing as a wing-back. Dalot, he's better on the other side. And you've got Luke Shaw, who I think is a very good player. Can't get fit at the moment. So you need to sign a left-sided player. Malacia might go on. Their recruitment has not been good enough. And I'll say that personally with Anthony. You sign a player like Anthony, nowhere near good enough. Man United Football Club, with the wingers that they've had in the past, you might as well have kept Jadon Sancho, because Sancho has proved that he can be successful. He went to Chelsea and is starting to deliver, playing with a smile on his face, playing well. And that's what I think Rashford needs, that move. When you see what Sancho's doing, that's why I think Rashford needs that move.
What do you make of Amorim?
Yeah, I like him. He's only young, though. He's 38. He's young. You know, being at Sporting, it's a big Portuguese club, but now he's the biggest team in the world. You know, they lose at home to Bournemouth and Brighton, or especially Brighton. It doesn't shock you, but it shocks the whole world. It doesn't shock us, but it shocks the whole world, and he doesn't understand that at the moment. But he will. I hope he gets it right, but only time will tell. Only time will tell. I feel sorry for the lad up front, Højlund. I think he's a young player who I think will be a good player. But to lead the line at Man United at no age is a lot to ask. And when you're a centre-forward, you're only as good as the players behind you. And he ain't got much behind him. and that's the problem.
I do like Ahmed though. Ahmed Diallo's been a star. He's the one I look for. I'd build the team around at the moment. Obviously, we know Bruno Fernandes is an exceptional player, but Ahmed's the one for me. He's come in there and he's hit the ground running. But yeah, they need a lot. They need to do a lot of business.
What you got, Thomas?
So, you know, we've been talking about Manchester City the whole window. They're the biggest spenders, £120 million. They spent £120 million in this window. That's more than the entire Premier League spent in last January's transfer window. You can use that one.
Yeah, thanks, mate. I'll use
cheers.
it tomorrow.
Cheers, bud.
Cheers.
But they're not stopping there because they're interested in hands like Clinton, man. They're interested in a central midfielder as well. And we're told that they're interested in signing Nico Gonzalez from Porto. He's got a release clause. However, it's not clear whether City are prepared to meet that release clause. I haven't been told what that release clause is, unfortunately. It remains to be seen if Porto are willing to negotiate that clause or not. But it's clear, as we've been saying, that City are still looking to strengthen that squad. You've been hearing it as well. Yeah. Central midfield seems to be the area that they want to strengthen, and they have an interest in signing Nico Gonzalez from Porto.
You like that?
Yeah, good player, good player. He'll do a job in midfield. He's not no Rodri, but he's a good player, and I think he's comfortable in possession, can see danger, and he's like that. Because what you look at with Man City, I watched them the other night against. They're so open. Yeah. I don't understand when you're attacking how you're so open as a team. And obviously you've lost Carl Walker, so there's not a lot of pace in that team at the moment. And as I say, there's no one as good as Rodri at what he does. But Gonzalez is a good signing for Man City. And I think when I've looked at all their signings, I like Mamouche. I think he's really good. They need a midfielder.
They need some legs in there, don't they, in midfield, City?
Yeah, you've got to have legs, and then it gives the players like your Kevin De Bruyne's and your Silvers to get on the ball, but they need people to, they do. You know, the way the game goes now, you need legs in the team. So, yeah, they're trying to buy as many players as they can. I don't know what's going to happen, but they're a long way behind at the moment.
Indeed. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk Chelsea. What's going on there? See you in a minute. Absolutely loads going on. Live studio audience, Carve, Dharmesh and Clinton and Paul are here with us. Right, Carve, in the last hour, we heard that Chelsea were interested in a striker. Tell us.
Yeah, I think Chelsea, one of their long-term targets has been Evan Ferguson at Brighton, and they're aware of the fact that he is available this window. And I think the situation is that they're monitoring developments. So they know that another club could come in for him, and if another club do come in for him, they have the option of matching whatever is being offered. He's a player they like a lot. They've been watching him for a very, very long time. When it comes to Chelsea and this window, we all know about Chelsea's sort of player trading model. They tend to be quite busy, but I'm being told that Enzo Maresca is happy with his squad. If he was to keep the same group of players when the window closes, he wouldn't have any problem with that whatsoever. I think if they are to do business, it depends on players going out as well. And the areas they're looking at strengthening are out wide, because Mykhailo Mudryk is not involved at the moment, so maybe a replacement for him, and also some help for Nicholas Jackson up front. I think they'd like to sign another striker, especially if Christopher Nkunku goes to Bayern Munich. Question marks also about the future of João Felix. He could leave, and Axel Disasi as well.
Would Ferguson make Chelsea better?
It improved them, definitely. He's a goal scorer, Evan Ferguson. He's different, though. I think he's a better fit for West Ham at the moment. I think the way Chelsea want to play, I think, listen, Jackson, he's done well this season, but I do think Chelsea need help. If Chelsea want to still continue to finish in that top four, because the title race for me is over for Chelsea, but if they want to finish in that top four, I do think they need to add to that forward line. I do think Evan Ferguson would be a good fit, though, if it's only on loan from now to the end of the season. You know what he's like as a youngster when he came into the team at Brighton, and he has scored some important goals. He's a different kind of centre forward. He wants to play with his back to goal, where Jackson wants to spin him behind.
And West Ham agree with Clinton, because they're actually pushing to try and sign Evan Ferguson. They're looking at a loan, they're looking at a permanent, and you can see the link. Graham Potter wants to be reunited with Evan Ferguson. He gave him his debut at Brighton. West Ham looking at a number of forwards, but he is their primary target.
He plays at West Ham. He doesn't play at Chelsea.
Yeah.
And if you're going to go on loan, if it's going to be will it be a loan or sign?
But
if you're with him, he wants to play now. He needs to play, and I think if he goes to Chelsea, he doesn't play. He plays behind Jackson. If he goes to West Ham, he walks straight into the team.
Do you like him?
I do like him. I think he's had a couple of injuries when he first got in the team. He was outstanding, then got a few injuries. Then you have to come up with solutions, and then people talk about you, and then it becomes harder. You know, people get a free hit, and then the good ones keep on improving, and I think he'll have to do that. But I do like him. I think if he can stay injury-free, it'd be a great signing for West Ham.
Right, we're going back to the audience. Rob, what you got for us?
Hi, I'm a Bournemouth fan, and I'd like to ask Merce how impressed he's been with Bournemouth this season.
Absolutely outstanding. Absolutely. I think every Arsenal fan will be relying on Bournemouth tomorrow to do a job, and I think it's a difficult game for Liverpool tomorrow. I think they've been outstanding. I think the fullback, I can't pronounce his name, Clinton.
Which one?
Kirkes.
Oh, Kirkes.
Kirkes.
Yeah,
I don't know why I can't. Yeah, Kirkes. And Semenya, I think have been outstanding. I think they're good to watch. I think they give all the big boys a game and beat them all at home. So, yeah, I've been very, very impressed. I think they're there for the long run. I think they'll stay hanging around. I'd be shocked if Liverpool won tomorrow. I think it'll be a draw. I do. I think it's a difficult game for Liverpool.
You say that, they've got the likes of also with Tara. They were struggling. You picked up, your centre forwards are injured, so you likes of Evan Nilsson. And credit to Areola, he's done a brilliant job. He plays with Tara as a centre forward, goes and scores a hat-trick against Forest, who are flying as well. You've got some top players there. Kluivert's been excellent, the hat-trick he scores against Newcastle. Your full credit must go to the hierarchy, because let me tell you something. Last season at Bournemouth, I was thinking he's going to lose his job. They were nowhere near it.
Well, they were the last
season.
team to win in the Premier League last season, and they stuck by him. So I think that's full credit to everybody who owns the club.
There was a lot of hoo-ha, wasn't there, when Gary O'Neill, there was like, what a Bournemouth doing? Why are they getting rid of Gary O'Neill?
And they went, I think it was 8 games, something like that. So for them to stick by him, and it's reap dividends now, and I think they're a dangerous football team.
Europe, maybe.
And especially, what do they hold? 12,000? I mean, it's madness, isn't it? I mean, to only hold that many fans. And
they could even qualify for the Champions League, because there's a very good chance that finishing fifth will get you in the Champions League. And if an English team wins the Champions League, it might even be 6th place gets you in there as well.
Rob, I'm going to have to apologise because I'm going to say this. Are they going to be able to hold on to Iraola, though?
We're winding him up.
At the moment, they will. At the moment, I don't know. I mean, you look at the top teams, you know, who's going to lose their job? The Man United manager won't, the Man City manager won't, the Arsenal manager won't, the Liverpool manager won't.
Chelsea
Manager won't.
Tottenham.
Bournemouth are above Tottenham. I'm joking, mate. But I want Ange to keep his job. I like Ange, you know, so I think that he'll be patient, but what country is he from?
Iraola?
Spain. So, I'd be more worried about him going back to Spain with a Barcelona or Real Madrid, you know, or someone like that, because I rate him that highly.
Yeah, he is that good.
And good luck tomorrow.
Nice one, Rob. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, Merce, we're going to talk Arsenal. See you in a bit. Hello again, welcome back to the Transfer Show in Battersea. Right, we've heard from a lot of managers today. Michael Bridge has picked out the headlines. Here he is.
Yes, a very, very busy day. Load of press conferences this afternoon. Let's start with Manchester United manager Ruben Amorim has hailed the reaction of Alejandro Garnacho to being dropped for the Manchester derby last month and said every improvement in his game and attitude is down to the player himself. Right, let's get to the league leaders, Liverpool. And Liverpool boss Arne Slot says Mohamed Salah will make the right decision about his future amid interest from Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia's sports minister, Prince Abdulaziz bin Turki Al Faisal, revealed on Piers Morgan Uncensored that he would love to have Salah join a Saudi club. Right, might have an update for you with Ange Postecoglou and Tottenham Hotspur and the chase for Kaya Tomori and AC Milan in the next hour. So stay with us on Sky Sports News, Spurs fans. Right, John Duran has joined Al Nassr, and Unai Emery has confirmed Ollie Watkins is happy at Aston Villa after Arsenal saw a bid rejected for the player. Let's get to Arsenal now. Mikel Arteta has refused to comment on Arsenal's interest in Aston Villa's Ollie Watkins, but admits the club are working hard to bring in a striker before the end of the January transfer window. Right, back to Mike, and we'll talk about one of Mercy's 400 clubs he supports, Arsenal.
And there it is.
And it ain't Tottenham.
Right, Merce. Arsenal. No striker. If they don't get a striker in, should they just forget about the title this season?
I wouldn't say forget, but you don't want it to come back and bite you. I think Liverpool will still have a blip. I mean, I can't see them going the whole season like they are now at the moment. But you don't want to panic. I think Ollie Watkins fits the bill. I think that's a great signing. I think if they'd have got him or Isaac, I think they tick the box. But you don't want to go in the market and go and buy someone for 30, 40 million pound that just fits the gap for now, and then all of a sudden at the end of the season you're stuck with that player. So I think if you can get a Watkins or someone like that who's going to produce for the next 3-4 years, I think he's a good sign. I still don't think that's finished yet.
Okay.
I don't. You know what Emery's just said, he's happy. I ain't sure. I don't think you need to say anything. I think there's more to come from that before Monday.
Should Arsenal have acted earlier, though? It's been a long while we've been saying they need a forward in.
Yeah. I mean, you got to weigh up and see. I think they probably. I'd be shocked if Arsenal didn't get him, because it's quite embarrassing if they go in for a bid for someone and then all of a sudden they don't get him, and he's, no disrespect, he's at Aston Villa and Arsenal are coming for you. So, and I don't mean that disrespectfully, but Arsenal are that next level for Ollie Watkins, and he supports them as a fan. So, for me, I'd be surprised. You can't just keep on rushing in and buying Tom, Dick, and Harry. You know what I mean? You've got to be precise in whoever you buy, and it's hard to go and play for Arsenal. You can't just go and buy someone from somewhere and go, right, you're playing for Arsenal. You know, we've seen that with Højlund. You know, it's hard to play for these big clubs. You're highlighted, you're under pressure from the word go. I think you get Watkins, he's played in this league, he's scored goals, he plays for England. It just fits, and he hits the ground running for the next 3 or 4 months and gives Arsenal an opportunity of winning the Premier League.
Do you think it makes any difference that he's an Arsenal fan and he said that it was his dream one day to play for Arsenal and his hero was Thierry Henry? Does that come into it at all?
Yeah, I would have thought so. I'd have thought so. I think being an Arsenal fan, I think that would help. And plus, you know, he's going to go and try and win the Premier League, so it will help. Would I be shocked if they did sell him? No, I wouldn't. I think if money talks, I think Arsenal tried to catch Villa cold and think, right, we'll go in and offer 60 million. They would have had a whisper that Duran was being offered 60 or 65 million from Saudi Arabia, and then they throw that on the table, and then Aston Villa go, right, do we sell a 28-year-old for 60 million and keep the 21-year-old for 60 million? And they didn't. They sold the 21-year-old for 60 million. So it tells you something about the 21-year-old, in my opinion.
Which players have signed for Palace because their hero was Clinton Morrison?
Everyone. Teta. At least they went to Bayern Munich on the back of me. I said it. I done the deal, but that's for another show.
You told me you were Birmingham.
Arsenal. Yeah, I'm a Birmingham legend, Palace legend. Every club I've been at, Sky Sports legend. You do the rest.
It's all got some. Let's bring the audience back in. We got an Arsenal fan. Andreas, is it? Kesh. Where you go, Kesh? What you got?
Good evening. Why is Arsenal not signing a striker? And if they need the money, I'm sure Paul Mercy will be happy to help.
Oh, Oh, if what? They need the money, you'll be happy to help.
Why are
Oh, yeah. No, as I said, you can't just rush and buy any centre forward. It's a big club, Arsenal. You know, when you're playing at the next level, you can't just go out and buy players willy-nilly. You've got to pick the right player. That takes time. And I don't think they'll rush. I think sometimes you can go out now and pay 70, 80 million and not win the league and then stuck with that player that then, like a Watkins or Isaac or someone else comes along and you think, I'm stuck with this person now. And with the fair play rule, it's difficult. It's hard now. It's, you know, before you could go, I will buy him for 50, 60 million. And if it doesn't work, we'll go and buy someone else. People are looking at these transfers now, you know, like the Anthony one, the Højlund one. And I'm just picking on Man United. But these big signings now, before 4 or 5 years ago, like when I played, if you bought someone for 5, 6, 7 million and they didn't perform, the manager was gone. You were out. Because you put your eggs in that basket. Now players, 82 million. Anthony, he's on loan now. I mean, and nothing's said about it. It's just like people throwing money away left, right and centre. And I think now it's tightened up. And I think they've got to be patient. They've got to be patient. I think you stay patient with Arteta. And Arsenal are there and thereabouts. They won't be far off.
Yeah, but if you want to win the league, you need to get...
I get Watkins. And people go, oh, you know, I heard Arsenal fans go to me, but he's 28. Who cares? You know, it's for now, next year and the year after. After that, it doesn't matter. You know, if they don't buy him, they're not going to turn around to all the Arsenal season ticket holders and go, we didn't get Ollie Watkins, so we're going to knock everybody's season ticket down by £100. They're not. So let them spend the money. It doesn't matter. Spend the money. Put in £100 million, and I'd be shocked if Villa didn't let him go for 100 million.
I love this guy.
Andreas is next.
Just a question for Paul Merson. Just wanted to know whether Arsenal are going to buy anyone before Monday's transfer deadline.
Yeah, I think they will. I think they will buy someone. I think they will. But it won't, you know, it'll be done properly. It won't be a panic buy. I don't think there's no need to panic. You know, if they don't do it again this season, they'll be there again next season. You know, it's been second the last 2 years. They're second again. The consistency's there. They've just got to try and get over the line. But, you know, I think it's got to be someone who's going to come in and hit the ground running. You can't afford to keep on giving players 200 grand a week and sitting on the bench.
Who must though?
That's why I say Ollie Watkins. That's why I say go now, put £100 million down, and there's your 100 million, and just see what they're going to say.
They won't need to spend 100 million on Watkins, but the Watkins one is really, really interesting because if they've engaged in talks, and Paul mentioned it before, the way transfers work now, you don't just go out and to a club and say, let's negotiate a deal, and then a minute later the player doesn't want to go. There has to be some encouragement from somewhere that tells Arsenal there is a deal to be done for Ollie Watkins. Now, Unai Emery's saying all the right things. He doesn't want to sell him, he said the other day. Today he was a little bit stronger. He said there are some players who want to stay on the project and some players who don't. He was effectively talking about Duran and Watkins, and he says Watkins is one that wants to stay. So he wants to stay according to Unai Emery, but with 3 days to go, if Arsenal go back in with an improved offer for someone who's 29 years old, he's actually aged a year since you said he was 28.
Have we been on that long?
Yeah. Feels like this. Feels Who's to say Aston Villa might think, do you know what? His age and that money, we probably won't.
Yeah, but Villa fans will never have that.
They can't do that. You can't do that.
I agree with you.
And you've got 3 days to go.
I
can't do that. You can't do that.
I think Arsenal have misunderstood the situation. I think they thought, if we go in for a bid and catch them now before the Duran deal's done, surely you sell a 29-year-old for the 60 million.
Also, but there was one source that told us. There was one source that told us yesterday that Arsenal, the deal was proposed to Arsenal rather than the other way around.
Yeah, but then again, they might have thought Duran wouldn't go, and then he's going to play for Villa's first team because Watkins would have gone, so he plays every week. And he's gone.
How much was the Arsenal bid? How much was the bid?
It's that whole when is a bid a bid?
And how much was it?
Yeah, how much was it?
When they were talking, Arsenal's valuation was around £40 million.
40 million?
Was my understanding. Was my understanding.
Bought him for that.
And Villa's valuation was 60 million. That's what I was hearing. What the big difference in the valuation was.
You know, Arsenal have got. I think it's important Arsenal get this over the line now. Because, you know, many years ago when they're going, like, so-and-so and a pound and missing out on transfers.
Suarez.
Yeah, this is Arsenal now. You know, they've got to make a statement. They've got to go, bang, you know, we're chasing someone. For them to get turned down wouldn't be a good look for Arsenal.
But Clinton, you
Listen,
say
you can get it. Arsenal can get him. They're still not catching
Clinton,
Liverpool.
You're saying
Simple as.
Villa are not going to do it.
Really?
Villa are not going to do it.
What if they get Watkins?
I told you that on last Saturday. They can go and sign 3 players, Arsenal. And you said Haaland, Isak, and Mbappe. And you still won't catch Liverpool because Liverpool are far ahead of everyone.
Clinton, you're saying Villa are not going to do Ollie Watkins in this transfer
I don't
window.
think they'll do it.
But
Losing Duran,
you've also
I don't
been
think they'll
saying
do it.
the number of players that they're interested in. They're all forwards, right? So it's one to replace not Marcus Rashford, one to replace John Duran, but there's talk of Villa being interested in Marcus Rashford now. There's talk of João Felix, Asensio. If they were to bring in 2 of those players...
But they're not Watkins.
They're not goals.
They're not
They're
goal
not
scorers.
out and out
Felix
number
are number
nines.
10s. Asensio, I've seen him loads of plays. He can play up front, but he's not Marco Asensio. He's not a centre forward. What Watkins does and why Arsenal won is the thing with Watkins, he runs in behind and stretches defenders. You want defenders don't like running to their goal, and he scores goals. Hard working centre forward. That's not them 2 players are not, and there's not. No, there's not a lot of space. So, but he does work hard and he scores goals. You've got Odegaard and players like that that impresses from the front. He's a different player and. Yeah, if they do get him, what a deal that is.
But they must, as you said, they must have had an inkling. They just wouldn't put that bid in just to get embarrassed and get turned down.
And I'm just winding up the Arsenal
Unless-
fans. I can see you looking at me. There's one big guy there with big muscles.
Unless we spin it again and it was a token gesture, so Arsenal then can go, we are trying. We tried, but we didn't get.
Could be. So cynical you are.
Oh, I'm just thinking out the box.
Right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk Manchester United. So much to talk about with them. See you in a bit.
now be over the weekend. To discuss it more, they're all sitting very comfortable on their chairs here. Back to you all now.
Thank you, Michael. Yeah, that's interesting. Clinton, I'm going to come to you with that. So he's still with Leche, even though we understand the deal's done. If you were Man United, would you be absolutely terrified he's going to get on tonight and break his leg?
Yeah, maybe. Okay.
Could have just said a hamstring.
Hamstring.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Pull the file or something like that.
Yeah, you would be slightly worried. But then I look at Duran the other day when he was on the bench for Aston Villa and he didn't bring him on. So maybe they're just putting him on the bench. Maybe he can, at the end, not to come on the pitch, just say his final goodbyes because everyone knows the deal's close. But you would be worried, Man United. But I don't think Leche would ruin the deal if they think the deal's going to be close to risk him coming on. So I think it's just leave him put him on the bench, let everyone see he's still on the bench, and basically at the end of the game you can go and do your lap of honour, say goodbye to the fans. So I don't think Man United would be too
they're in a
worried.
relegation battle, aren't they? So if they need him, he's coming on, surely.
It depends. He's a fullback, so he's not really making a big difference, is he, to the team, unless they want to keep it nice and tight. If they're struggling and they're losing, if he's more of an attacking player, I'd be worried if they're losing and he has to go and score goals. So I don't think... If you're going to do that, this is what does my head. If you're going to do that, just start him. Just play him then. Forget about Man United. Just play him. He's your player at the moment. Until the deal's done, play him. So there's a reason they're not starting him. And I think the reason is because the deal's nearly done and they don't want to risk anything. So they're just playing clever. Managers do that. Carve does it. Darmish does it, don't you?
Everything's agreed between the two clubs, but there's clearly some bits to still sort out. Maybe Lecce are just sending a message to Manchester United as well. Oh, he's still our player. He's still travelling with the squad. Sort these issues out, and then he can travel to Manchester. So while you haven't sorted those issues out, he plays for us before he flies.
What's your view of the player?
If I'm being honest, I've never seen Leche play in my life, if I'm being honest. Have they ever been live on telly?
Probably.
Probably, a couple of times. Yeah, I haven't seen him enough. I hear about him. But you know what? I'm always one of them. When someone rips it up or who does well in Italy, I always think if Inter Milan and Juventus and Napoli and AC Milan, if they're not coming for you, and
Napoli
they've been watching
were coming for him.
just Napoli, and they're watching him week in, week out over the last year or so, I just find that strange. I don't know why. I just find it strange. And we've seen it with Højlund. Højlund comes for a lot of money and the big boys didn't go in for him in Italy. And look what's happened. He hasn't scored a lot of goals and they've probably seen that he was probably too young at the time. So that would be my only worry.
I think it also...
He can't do any worse.
It also shows you where Manchester United are at the moment. Because I'm sure all of us remember in the old days under Sir Alex Ferguson, United just used to go out and buy the best, whoever they wanted. Rio Ferdinand, Wayne Rooney. They made sure that they got the very best. Definitely. Now United are shopping at clubs like, no disrespect, Bologna, Atlanta, Lecce. And this guy, Patrick Dorgu, he could turn out to be a great player.
But that's what they're working on.
But a couple of years ago, Lecce bought him for £150,000.
Oh, wow.
You said it's 160.
My vets team would have definitely bought him.
You know, the exchange rate is euros.
It's gone down.
Yeah, exactly. Where are United at the moment? How far off are they, do you think?
The way it is now with the fair play rule, and you can't just go out and buy everybody in the market that they're in, or buying really, as I say, heads or tails players that could be a major success or not. A bit like playing fantasy football. You know, you go and get your Haalands and your people like that who get your points, and then you've got to try and get the other players in who are either going to get you a load of points or they won't get you any points. And that's where Man United are. I think it's a long time. I do. I think it's a long time. And, you know, and it's a shame it is. This is a big football club. You know, I watched these, you know, from when I was growing up, and now I look at them and I think, how can you fall that quickly? I mean, honestly, it just scrambles my head that you can go from being the greatest club in the world to like an average football team, and you really have to blame, and I'm not blaming the managers really, and I'm not blaming the people upstairs, but I'm blaming the people that were put in charge of these transfers, because their transfers have not been a success. You know, you'd be lucky if you named them on your hand, would you? Like their successful signings. When you look at teams like Bournemouth and Brighton and teams like that who bring in superstars, you know, so sometimes it's lazy. It's lazy for me, you know, buying Anthony from, you know, because he knew him, you know, Ten Hag. And you can't keep on buying players, you know. That league's a different world to our league. You know, when you turn up in this league, when you're a winger, every single game you play in as a winger, you're playing against an international fullback. An international fullback. You're not doing that in Holland. You know, you're playing against players who are all right. But when you come into the Premier League, every player really who plays in the Premier League as a fullback is an international. And that's the problem we have. And I think it's been lazy and it's been poor transfer.
That's maybe why United are changing their approach now, because they've tried to get all this short-term success by throwing money at it, and they've ended up with this mishmash of a squad. Now we're talking about Dorgu. Do we know how good he is? But for some United fans, it's like finally they're looking at someone that we haven't really heard about. He's a young kid. Let's see what he can do. And looking ahead to the summer, they're already planning for the summer. They're looking at Giovanni Kenda, who's supposed to be a generational talent, 17 years old, admittedly. He's plays for Sporting Lisbon. Amorim gave him his debut, so he knows exactly what he's about.
Same
so
thing,
they'll be
picking players he knows.
Yeah, it will. And they'll probably bring in the lad from Sporting if they can.
Gyökeres,
if they can. And he knows him. And he needs to buy... With Amorim, it's a bit different because he wants to play a certain way. He wants to play free at the back and he wants to stick at that. He won't change. So he needs to bring in players that can play that system. So I do understand the lad from Sporting, and I think he'll want players around that understand.
I'm going to have to stop you.
No worries.
Save it for the next hour. Because we run out of time for this one, but we are back in a couple of minutes. See you. Welcome back. It is the final hour of the transfer show, our final hour in the iconic Battersea Power Station. What a brilliant week we have had here at Battersea. It's been quite special. So much going on. Dharmesh and Carve still here. Paul Merson and Clinton Morrison with their expert opinion. Deadline coming. It's caught some managers by surprise.
I was hoping it was all over today, but apparently it's extended till Monday.
We are trying everything that we can. He's happy here.
Everybody wants him, including us.
I don't know.
But we didn't discuss about that.
All the merit is from Garnacho.
If they are talking about you, about different clubs, probably the focus is not 100%.
We want to continue to improve with Garnacho.
It's still been ringing, but it's been ringing the other way.
Right, we're going to start with our lead stories today. You want to go Marcus Rashford and Villa chasing him hard. Tell us.
Well, look, everybody knows that Marcus Rashford is available this window. His first choice is to move to Barcelona on loan, but Aston Villa are also interested in signing him. It's well documented, of course, Aston Villa have just sold John Duran. They're looking for more forward options for Unai Emery. Emery is a big fan of Marcus Rashford. Now, I'm not saying the deal is going to happen, but they are one of the clubs who are definitely interested in signing Rashford. And if a move to Barcelona doesn't come off, then I could see him potentially moving to Villa before the deadline on Monday.
Good move, that, Clinton?
Yeah, I like it. I think Villa need him. You look at, they've got a few injuries in them wide areas, and I think it's a really good sign. Marlon, so they bought him, done Marlon, and he's a good signing. But I think Rashford on that left-hand side, yeah, and I think Unai Emery improves players. I think the job he's done once he's gone to Aston Villa has been fantastic. So for me, that fits. If he doesn't get his move away in Europe or to Barcelona, then Aston Villa suits him down to the ground.
What do you think, Paul?
Yeah, if it's the Marcus Rashford that we, you know, if Villa go and get the Marcus Rashford that was on the scoring goals the other year, amazing. But if they get the Marcus Rashford now, who can't get in front of a 63-year-old goalkeeping coach, and then it ain't
You love
a good
that,
move.
don't you?
I mean,
You love that line.
I mean, you know, I'm a big fan of Rashford.
Tongue in cheek, mate.
Yeah, well, you shouldn't. I mean, if I'm the owner of the club and my manager's saying that tongue in cheek, I'm thinking, how am I going to get rid of this player? You want to get rid of him, but yeah, I mean, lovely, massive pitch. You know, he can move Rashford. It could be a good move. He'd be playing in front of great supporters as well.
Let's go through the other headlines. So, John Duran, just update us on what's happened
John
there.
Duran has joined Al Nassr. He's already posed pictures of him in their yellow kit. The deal is worth up to £71 million. It's a fantastic deal for Aston Villa because they signed him a couple of years ago, I think, from Chicago Fire in a deal that was worth potentially up to £20 million. So they have made a profit of £50 million on a player who's been there for a couple of years. I think he scored 12 goals for them. Wow. And I know a lot of people are saying, what is John Duran doing? He's got the world at his feet. He's playing in the best league in the world. Why would you move to Saudi Arabia at that age? The reason you're doing that is simply money. That is the only reason you would make that move. Okay. Not my opinion, but that is what a lot of people are saying.
We've spoken about him. Just give us just remind us of the Mathys Tel situation, the breaking news while we've been on air.
Yeah, I mean, earlier on this week, the Bayern Munich sporting director, Max Eberl, has said he hasn't received that many calls for one player since he's been at Bayern Munich, such as being the popularity of Mathys Tel and the demand for his signature in this transfer window. I think they're open both to loan and permanent deals, and I think Tel would be of the same opinion as well, Munich, to try and sort out this deal. Sky Germany is now reporting that Mathys Tel has rejected an offer, Paul, calm yourself, from Tottenham for Mathys Tel. Bayern bosses are aware of Tel's rejection, and they understand that he would be more open to a move to United, Manchester United, Aston Villa or Chelsea.